Back in the 60s, the fashion world was defined by the haute couture designers from Paris, Rome, and Milan. Meanwhile, in Britain, a cultural revolution was underway. It started with music, expanded into fashion, which was new, which was different, and which was affordable. The word from the grapevine coming over here to America was the British are coming, the British are coming. And American baby boomers became interested in everything British. Well, my guest today is one of those personalities that made this all happen. In the 60s, she was the creator behind BIBA, the hot, cool clothing line that teens and young women all over the world wanted to wear. Her name is Barbara Hulanicki. So first, Barbara, let me thank you and welcome you to the show. And for those of you who are meeting Barbara for the first time, she has some great background. She was born in Poland, grew up in Jerusalem, and after the war moved to London. What was it like growing up in so many different cultures for you?
It was absolute nightmare because the worst thing was that I didn't speak any English and had to imagine what they were trying to say to you. And also when we went to England, it was just after the war, and they weren't that pleased to see foreigners, as they called them. But eventually I got into an English boarding school, and it was amazing because it was a completely different lifestyle in England. It was no food. All the men had gone to war and were killed, so there were only sort of rather angry ladies, mothers, with all the children.
What inspired you to become part of the fashion world?
Everybody knew how to sew, so the mothers could sew, so they were making clothes for us. There was huge interest in early Hollywood films, and so the interest in clothes and color started very much at that time.
You created clothing through BIBA, but you also created a department store, and it was 7 stories,
Oh,
and everybody started hanging out there. What was the attraction?
well, to start off with, we started with a small 500 square foot, lovely old property off High Street, Kensington. And before we knew it, I had this sort of thought that if I put sofas in there, we'd get the boys in. So what happened is that we got lots of music guys coming in and hanging out, and it just grew. I mean, you had cues.
Like when you say music guys, who are you talking about?
I'm talking about all the Rolling Stones and sort of the Beatles and all the big bands that came in. And I mean, I remember Sonny and Cher were in there, and all sorts of incredible big stars. And so, of course, the girls were coming in like mad, coming in. Our customers were coming in because it was the hubbub of what was going on. Because it was all about going out at night and dancing, because there were clubs everywhere. And it was an incredible time for that age group. And they were very young. Fitz and I mean, Fitz, my husband, and I were exactly the same age. We were 24.
Did you go clubbing with them and hang out with them, or were they just customers in your store?
I was involved with Ready, Steady, Go, which was a program with Kathy McGowan and Cilla Black and all the really big people that used to bring in for each Friday night show. So I was kind of involved in that. And there was this word of mouth there that the secretaries in the hotels or in the businesses would ring round all their friends and tell them what was going on. And that's how the news got round, so that when we were absolutely packed in the first 500 square feet, they said, we've got to move to a bigger space. And he was always hunting to see where we could go to. And he came in one day and he said, I found an amazing spot. It's 2,000 feet. And then we had communal changing rooms. It was mostly girls at that time. And
when you had communal changing rooms, was that one of the attractions that people came down so that they can say, I changed the clothes in the same room as Mick Jagger or Cher?
yeah. As Bridget Bardot, hello. I remember she came in. She had a new husband who was a German, huge German, young, beautiful guy that was very wealthy. And he saw the communal changing room and he said, she can't go in there. They've just been married. And he said, she's not allowed to go in there. So I thought, hello, why not? You know, she wanted to go in there as well with a pile of clothes to try on. Because there was an amazing thing going on in the changing rooms, because people would try the things on and discuss things and say things, oh, you look awful in that, or you look great in that. And they would make instant friends, which was absolutely lovely.
You were an officer in the Order of the British Empire.
Oh, yeah.
For people like myself, who I'm not really familiar, what is the Order of the British Empire?
Well, you got an O.B.E. You got a fantastic award. You were introduced to the Queen, and the Queen was very busy because she wanted to see somebody else but me. And so Prince Charles did it. He gave me the award. And he said it was Buckingham Palace, and they came over and they told you how to behave and how to walk to get to him. When my turn came along, I was wearing a sort of trouser suit, which wasn't allowed. In fact, you weren't allowed to wear trousers. And I thought, oh my God, they're going to stop me. So, and anyway, I walk along, and then you had to turn over and stop and bow and then go forward. And it was just too complicated for I couldn't I couldn't remember anything. And then Prince Charles was saying, come on, Barbara, get on with it. We're all waiting. We all want our coffee. They were fabulous. They were really great.
I read something a long time ago, and I don't even know if it's true, that Yoko Ono came into the store and asked to borrow a dress, and then for her opening, and then at the opening, she turned it into performance art and shredded it. Is that true?
And burnt it.
Well, let me ask you something. How did you feel when you learned about this?
I was furious because she didn't tell us she was going to wreck it, because it was sort of bad manners, really, to burn a dress on the stage.
Well, how did you react to it? Did you say something to her? Did you ignore it?
Got her out from the shop as quickly as we could before she could burn the rest of the home. No, it was very insulting.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah, how personal?
Very, very personal. And if you choose not to answer it, I respect that.
Okay.
Can I ask you your age?
Oh, I was born in 36. So you work it out.
Now, the reason I ask that is you're doing something very special for the city of Miami Beach. You're picking out colors for some of the structures that they own. And of course, as an artist, whenever you do something public like that, there are always critics that come up and say, well, I don't like this or I don't like that. You've been an artist all your life and you've been criticized at different times. How do you deal with that?
Well, because, for instance, in BIBA, I always had that criticism from men who didn't like the clothes because they were too short. They'd come to film. So I used to have to take that comment from them, and I used to say, well, so it's the same now. I'm used to it. That's part of the, if people like things too much, I'm very suspicious.
Your style has been described as decadent.
Oh, no.
Do you think your style is decadent?
No, no, no. Well, the colors weren't bright Art Deco. They were slightly good taste. So they were a bit grayish.
Okay, you've lived on Miami Beach for decades.
Yeah.
What's the one thing you love most about living here?
With all the lovely architecture, all the little shop, all the little hotels, which was sort of, they weren't messed around with, which was, and they're still there. It's so incredible. I love them. That's
Okay,
okay.
Barbara, thank
Lovely.
you, and
Thank
let's
you.
say goodbye for now.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Thank you very much.